Hello, hello. I think I'm live. Comment if you can see me and hear me. It has been a minute since I've done this, and I've missed talking to all of you. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for the feedback, guys. Let me know where you are watching from and what you're up to tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. So I just wanted to jump on here. Hello, Carol. Hello. Hello, Mossy Man. Some of these I don't know how to pronounce, and I don't want to butcher your names. Sarah, you're in Minnesota, Massachusetts, Maine. So I wanted to jump on here tonight, and hello to New Zealand. Caitlin, hey. Texas, hello to Texas. I wanted to jump in and chat with you guys tonight about some of the current events that are going on. And I am not going to get into any politics or anything like that. That is not my arena. But I just want to acknowledge some of the things that are happening and offer some encouragement. So, first, I'm going to go over some acknowledgments, just different situations and people that I like to acknowledge. Then, what I'm going to do is offer 3 things that I think all of us can do to make a difference in the world, no matter who we are or where we are, because I know people can feel so helpless at times when big events are unfolding in the world and we just don't know like how to react or what we can do. So I'm going to go over that briefly. Then I'm going to share my plan, because this is also a call to meditation for world peace. And I'm going to share my plan of how I'm going to be doing that and how you guys can join me if you would like. And then I will take a few minutes at the end to go through the chat. And so if you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to discuss that you want to put in the chat, I'll see if I can get to some of those. So, wow. Thank you all so much for joining me. Allie, Jeffrey, Glenda Lee, Jason. Hello, hello. All right, so I'm just going to start out with a few acknowledgments of just different situations and people around the world who are going through suffering and hardships right now. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the Ukrainian people who are currently fighting for their country, those who have either lost their lives or lost loved ones, those who are running for their lives, who are being forced to fight when they should be living peacefully, the children whose worlds have just turned upside down. I would like to acknowledge you and what you're going through. And I want you to know that overwhelmingly, the hearts of the people of the world are with you. I'd like to acknowledge the people of Russia who are risking their lives to protest this war. The hearts of the people of the world are with you. I'd like to acknowledge the Ukrainian people who are living abroad who can't go home right now, and the Russian people living abroad who have taken a stand against the war and can't go home because of that. I would also like to acknowledge a few other situations because so much has occurred and is occurring like right on top of each other right now. So I'd like to acknowledge our Canadian brothers and sisters who are dealing with having their freedoms taken away. I have a brother who lives in Canada and is having a very rough time up there right now. I'd like to acknowledge also all of those who are and have been affected by the pandemic over the last couple of years and just the massive amounts of suffering that people have been through. I have a sister who's a nurse who works in an ICU unit, and I have friends who work in the ER. And so all those who have lost loved ones and all of those who have suffered. And on the opposite side of that, all those who are suffering from government overreach and having their freedom stripped away, and the healthcare workers who have lost their jobs over that. Just so much going on in the world, and that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. I would also like to acknowledge the outpouring of love that I see across the world and the awakening of compassion for both the suffering of other people and the people who have been willing to take a stand and fight for human dignity and rights. That's extremely encouraging to me. We are living in unprecedented times right now. We are seeing a massive awakening. And in saying that, I don't want to dismiss the very real suffering that people are going through, but I also feel that it's important and very encouraging to make note of that. And lastly, I would like to acknowledge all of those who are suffering from fear and anxiety over all the things that are happening in the world, maybe feeling alone, maybe feeling helpless, feeling overwhelmed. You are not alone. We, the human race, are in this together, and we are going to make it through this. And on that note, I would like to offer 3 things that I think can be a comfort to each one of us and that we can do to sort of give back a little bit of that feeling of control over our own world. Obviously, there are a lot of people who need practical help. And if you're able to do that, wonderful. Um, but a lot of people may just feel like you're on the other side of the world from what's happening. How can I really make a difference? And I just want to offer 3 things. And the basis of the things that I'm going to offer here is that ultimately, even though we're living in a physical world, ultimately, truly, reality is spiritual, it's metaphysical, right? And so while we may feel far away or disconnected from an event, actually, we are all part of one great whole and we are all energetically connected. And so we have the power to make a huge influence on the world around us, even just within ourselves, the energy that we carry within us and how we interact with the people around us and with the world around us. So the first thing that I want to suggest is that it's very powerful for each of us to focus on our own spiritual health and awakening. And this might sound counterproductive, but energetically, because we are all connected, each person that is able to work on their own issues and to grow spiritually little by little, to overcome fear with love within themselves, each person that's able to do that, we contribute to where we are all at collectively. And what we want is we want peace. We want people to love each other and not, live in fear of each other, which leads to things like war, right? We don't want war. We don't want hatred. We don't want fear. We want peace. We want love in the world. And so, if we want that in the world, then each one of us has to create that within ourselves. And each person who is able to do that contributes to the amount of love and peace that is in the world. So, I would encourage you, and you may notice that I've taken a rather long hiatus from creating my own content. That's because I've been dealing with my own issues, and that's a whole other topic, but I only say that because I want you to know that I'm doing this every single day. So, I'm suggesting this because I'm doing it on a daily basis. I am having to go within. I'm having to deal with my own fears and anxieties, my own issues, and overcome them little by little by casting out fear with love. And so I would just recommend, when you're dealing with these powerful emotions that a lot of us are with, fear or anxiety or overwhelm about what's happening in the world, just allow it, just sit with it, accept that in yourself, And as you shine the light of love and acceptance on it, you can begin to transmute it, and you can begin to go move through that and find what's underneath, which is your source of being, your source, your peace, your strength. And so that's the first thing that is within every single person's reach that can be incredibly powerful to contribute ultimately to the collective awakening. The second thing is, again, is so simple that it almost might not seem worth mentioning, but now more than ever before is the time to love the person you're with. Just so simple. If we want love to win in the world, if we want peace in the world, then we each have to create that in our corner of the world. And while it may not seem or it may not feel like we're making a big difference, there are billions of people in the world. And when we're looking at, a powerful government dictators who are trying to force their way on people, we may not feel like we have any power, but how many of them are there compared to us? The people of the world that want peace and have the capability to actually create that. There's billions of us. So if we can each just create love in our corner of the world, as near death experience stories tell us with the life reviews, there is a massive domino effect that occurs when we do that. So we want to do right now everything that we can to tip the balance of the collective consciousness towards love, just by handling our small part of it. And number 3 is that I would like to invite you guys to meditate and pray with me for world peace. However you do that with your religion or spiritual background or non-religious or non-spiritual, whatever words that you use, I'd like to invite you to do that with me. And the reason why I think that this can be so powerful is because they have actually done studies on the power of meditation. And when you get large groups of people together meditating, they've seen violent crimes go down, they've seen war go down. There's studies documenting these things. And I'm a huge follower of Joe Dispenza, and one thing that he measures on people is the actual energy that emanates from people's heart centers when they are meditating, when they do group meditations. And it's an actual real scientific thing that they can measure. And so if we can get large amounts of people together focusing on peace and creating peace through their energy, that can be really powerful. And so I would like to invite you to pray and meditate with me for the most peaceful and benevolent outcome for everybody involved, for freedom and dignity for every human being, and for love to win over fear in the world. And so this is how I plan to do it. If I could, I would have a 24-hour, 7-day a week live stream going, playing meditation music so people could tune in whenever they wanted to. But I asked my husband about this, and he's a network engineer and internet specialist. And he said we simply don't have the equipment to support a 24/7 live stream. So unfortunately, I can't do that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do 2 hours a day for the foreseeable future. And I'm going to do it from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And the reason why I'm doing it at that time is because that is the time after I put my kids to bed where I am more likely to have some peace and quiet to sit down and meditate. And so if you guys want to do it with me, you can tune into my channel at that time. I know that's not going to work for everybody in other time zones. And unfortunately, Apparently, I just don't have the equipment to do it for more than about a couple hours a day. So that's what I can do right now. So my plan is that I'm going to get the first live stream going tonight at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which is going to be about 40 minutes. I am technologically challenged, so we'll see if I get it to work. It's possible that if I can get it to work the first time, I might need another day to figure it out. But that's my plan. 40 minutes to have that up. And I'm just going to have a live stream that says, like, meditation for world peace live stream. And it's going to have meditation music playing for about 2 hours. And you can just tune in and meditate with me if you feel so inclined. So I think I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say. So I'll take the next 10 minutes or so and I'll go through the chat. If there's anything that you guys want to talk about, put it in the chat. Caitlin, she says, my cat got run over last week and I'm hurting so much. She was my daughter. I love prayer and healing energy for that. Caitlin, I am so sorry. I also have a cat and I could not imagine life without her. I am so sorry, and I will absolutely be praying and sending healing energy for you. Hello, Jason. Hello, James. Hello, Susan, Adele, Judy, Chained Minds Asylum, Brenda Miller. JP Sheridan says, John S. from California. I've also been meditating regarding Ukraine and fasting. Ukrainians are so brave. Yes, Carol, unbelievably brave. G. Culligan, Jeffrey. Hello, Jeffrey. Yes, people are going through hard stuff everywhere. It's incredible the amount of things that we're handling so much at once right now. Adele says, thanks to Poland for taking their neighbors in Ukraine. G. Colgian, love is the only path to a better world. Yes, it is the only way. James says, you are what you think and believe. Absolutely. And what we are, we create. Jeffrey says, peace and love to all those in pain. Esther says, please pray for my friend Nada and all her family who is in Ukraine. Absolutely, yes. Angela says, I'm in need of prayers as I'm being targeted for my freedom efforts. Pray the charges are dismissed and I'm taken off the targeting list. Absolutely, Angela. I'm going to put every single one of you that are asking for prayers on my list tonight. Oops, I lost my place. Margine says, if we can't meditate for the whole 2 hours, is there a good way of closing the meditations as we leave? What it's going to be is it's just going to be a live stream with music playing, and you can open it and close it whenever you want to start and stop. I won't be going for the full 2 hours every night, I'm sure, because, I have kids and I'm going to have things going on, but I will be meditating during those 2 hours at some point every night. I'm looking for a specific comment. Jason brought up something interesting, but I lost the comment now. You can tell I don't do this very often. Okay. Jason says, Mel, if you want to talk biblically about Russia invading the Ukraine, don't you think that this is the beginning of the book of Revelations? The nation of the north shall attack. Jason, my personal opinion on that is that no, I don't see the book of Revelation as a prophetic book about something that's going to happen in the future. I think that it was written referring to events that were happening in the first century. I have done a YouTube series on this, which I can link in the description if you're interested. And I also don't see prophecy as being set in stone. The reason why, even if it was a prophecy about Russia, the reason why I say this is because in near-death experience accounts, what they will say over and over is that life is a sequence of probabilities, right? And so the probabilities change depending on what choices we make. And specifically, a number of them that talk about that prophesy about future world events. And I have a video on this too, so I'll link this. They will say, this is the most likely probable future event to happen based on where you're at right now. But if you make changes, the future will change. And so basically, in reference to so-called end times events, even if they were prophesied, it doesn't mean that they have to happen. If we can tip the balance of the collective towards love and towards peace, then we can absolutely avoid certain events. Nothing has to happen. And I think I maybe I'm seeing through rose-colored glasses, but I really think we're seeing this happen right now with what's going on. Like, we're seeing an outpouring of support for Ukraine. We're seeing an outpouring of love and of countries and people and world leaders even saying we don't want war, standing against what's being done to them. And I just hope that we can continue this and that we can come to some sort of, can't say peaceful resolution at this point, but that we can close it out, that we can prevent any further damage and keep moving in the right direction. All right, just a couple more minutes here. Oh, here's something that'll get me going. Ageless Archer YT says, yes, please link the whole mindset of, well, we're safe, so it's okay to die, makes you feel hopeless. Yes, I agree with that 100%. And that's a topic I could talk about for quite some time, but I just, and I used to believe that when I was a fundamentalist Christian, I used to believe that. And I understand that it does give people hope, but to say that we're part of the in group and so we're okay, and so all these bad events that are happening in the world, it's something to be excited about because it means Jesus is coming back and we're going to be saved. It's the epitome of self-centeredness, and it's the exact opposite of what we need to develop, which is empathy towards those who are suffering, because that's what will change things, and a belief and a vision that we can do better, that Jesus isn't coming to rescue his chosen few and leave the rest to burn. We're responsible for what's happening here, and we can do better, and we must do better, and we will do better as we come together, as we learn to suffer with those that suffer, and realize that it's not okay just for me and my family to be okay and to be safe and to be free. It's only okay when we're all safe and when we're all free and when we're all at peace. Caitlin says that's another reason why I stepped away from the Christian institution. Yes. You and me both, sister. Revelation was all about the 70 AD destruction of Israel. That's another topic that can get a little hairy. I used to be a preterist at one time where I believed that all Bible prophecy was pointing towards the destruction of Israel until I learned that that breeds anti-Semitism, and that was actually the basis of what was going on in World War II. But a preterist belief led to what Hitler did. So that's a whole other topic, which we can get into another time. Sarah Young says, does God want us to love all equally? I've heard that we should love family more than others and other. I think it depends on what type of love you're talking about. Of course, you're going to feel a certain level of affection for people that you're close to, and that's normal. But when we talk about love, the type of love that we want to see take place in the world, we're talking less about emotional attachment that you might feel for a family member and more about compassion, if that makes sense. Not that one is better than the other, they're just two different experiences of love. So, unconditional love and compassion and goodwill. And yes, I think that should be given equally to all people. So, we're not necessarily saying that you need to feel for someone you don't know like you would feel for your spouse or your children. Although, if you can develop that ability, then you're going to be so full of love that you're going to be living in paradise all the time. But it's empathizing with people and having compassion for people and having goodwill for people and wanting all people to be equally have dignity and freedom and human rights and be able to live in safety and peace. Jamie, interesting question, says, do you think humanity's consciousness is changing in a lasting way? We have gone through so many wars. The response of most people to this one is a positive sign, I believe. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we are progressing. And the reason I say that is because we are so connected now. We truly live in a global community. So every single day we can go online, we can completely avoid the news channels, and we can get our updates directly from, for example, Ukrainian people who are on the ground in Ukraine. And we can see a Facebook status from somebody who's posting about what they're going through. And we're so connected. And it's really helping us to cut past all the lies and the propaganda, for one, but also to truly develop that empathy for others, because we're realizing these people are just as real as we are. They're just like us, and it could just as easily be us, me, you know? Um, so my husband sent me a picture of a Ukrainian woman who is a network engineer like he is, and her status, she posted a picture of herself and said, "Please remember me if something goes, something happens to me." And you see stuff like that, and it's heart-wrenching, right? And you feel like that could be me, that could be my brother, my sister, my best friend. And so we're developing this this collective consciousness of this greater awareness and this collective consciousness of empathy and compassion for each other. And a lot of people are stepping up and saying, no, this is not okay. We don't want war. We want peace. Let's figure out a better way to handle this. And it's just a matter of um, recognizing that, as like I said, there's billions of us in the world. We are far more powerful. Once we realize how powerful we are and we step into that, we are going to be unstoppable. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and I am going to work on getting my meditation live stream up and hopefully have that up in half an hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been blown away by your response. So join me tonight for prayer and meditation. All of you who have asked for prayer, I promise you, I will put you on my list and I will remember you tonight. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time.